we are not printing it out. We will email it to you. It's 20 pages of recipes and things. There's no need for me to print it out. So we're going to be emailing this to you. I will make sure and email it to you as you guys can have it and ready to go.
I don't know.
I am a chef by trade. I do not say I'm a nutritionist. I cook healthy food. I am not a doctor, but I teach culinary medicine now. I am not a scientist by any shape or trade. I just like reading and learning about cooking and different things to do with food. This is what Mr. John Halsey, who's not here right now, would call mommy blogging. This is what you find on the mommy blogs. This is the stuff that you find on the internet. This is the stuff that people have put together for you already. And there's hundreds of sources out there. The reason why I got into it was because I was sick of buying serums and lotions that cost an arm and a leg. I have friends, I actually have a friend who worked very, very high up in Estee Lauder. One of the top ones. If you ever ask her, would you buy Estee Lauder? You know what they say? You know what's exactly the same? The layers. And so what's gone on with a lot of packaging of facial products and things like that is that it's all about the packaging. It's all about the brand. It's lost kind of the reasons why we're using things like that. There's only one product, and I'll say it, I'm not in any of those presentations or slides. There is one product that is ridiculously expensive, but I swear by. They don't sell it that much in the U.S. You can find it at Nordstrom sometimes, but the reason why it doesn't sell well in the U.S. is because it's considered a whitening brand, meaning that a lot of Asians use it for whitening. It's SK2. SK2 has what they call Patera. Patera is what happens, what they discovered was sake makers, people who made sake in Japan, had the world's softest hands. And they could not figure out why. And it was the remnants of what they were doing. So SK2 got smart and was like, okay, well let me bottle this guy. They bottle it, it's about $200 a bottle. And all it really is the effects of what these people that were making sake were getting out of it, and it was Patera. So, what I want you to learn from that is that the things that we usually use already actually are in the products that we have. The bottles that we're buying are such limited amounts of quantity and quality, why not just make it by yourself? So, I'm just going to introduce you to this. Once you get into it, you will not stop. I was just in Taiwan a month ago, and they have full stores dedicated to just your carrier oil, your essential oils, your hydrating oil. And it's become a whole kind of class that people can take. So I'm going to delve into little parts of it. Email me if you have questions. I don't know the best brands when it comes to essential oils. You do need to do your due diligence and research those. And I'll go into that a little bit later. But this is just an introduction on kind of what it is that you could potentially do at home. So I know it's kind of small, sorry, but this is kind of the list, and that one's bigger. This is the list of things that are in our cleaning supplies. That's deadly. The main thing I want you to read is that first sentence. This just came out in 2018. That when you clean daily, they did a study for 20 years in the UK, and they studied women and men who were home cleaners, who clean their home. It's the same as smoking 20 cigarettes a day. The fumes that come, and I have a study, it is you can look it up, it's on everything. Fortune has it, everybody has this, and it's the quote that it is the same as smoking 20 cigarettes a day. There are a few products out there specifically that are doing this to you, and I'll get into it. But these types of things that are in our cleaning products are chemicals that actually create fumes. And when you inhale the fumes, you cough, and then you get really sick. And over time, you're deteriorating your body, you're inhaling things that you really shouldn't be inhaling. Fabric softeners, thank God, I don't know if you know, fabric softeners are going out. People don't use fabric softeners. This generation doesn't know what a fabric softener is, doesn't know where it goes, doesn't know any of it. you understand that. We need a lot more elbow grease and a lot more product, natural product, in order to get something out. The Easy Off oven cleaner, that's probably the worst thing you can have in your home and use. But there's nothing out there that I could tell you that you could do to get that same effect. And so we just need to be diligent. If something's dirty, clean it. Don't wait until the last minute is kind of what I'm trying to get you to learn. So these are more things. One of the things that you still see a lot of, ammonia, chlorine, and lye. All those things are scary. And then there's a little guy called nanosilver. And nanosilver is something that you find in things that make things shiny. And so there's things that will make reflective light. But it goes into our bloodstream, and it affects our brain. And so these things have been studied. They're on different websites, and I'm going to give you a place where you can find it. The Lysol is also really, the last one is probably the scariest, like the Lysol and the oven cleaners and things like that. Ammonia is also dangerous, mainly because if you mix ammonia with other things, you could create a really, really scary situation, especially if you have kids around. I'm going to talk about lye in a little bit. But if you're Asian like I am, you find this inside supermarkets a lot. It's sodium bicarbonate, this guy right here. When you add it into flour, it turns things yellow. So you know that really chewy yellow noodle that we all like for炒面and all of that? Lye. That's how they get it. That's how you get that yellow color. That's also how you get that texture, that kind of chewiness that doesn't melt in your mouth. So lye is what they do. I love this thing. So on this is sold inside the aisle, the food aisle, okay, where all other food is. But then when you read on the label, it says not directly edible. And yet the instructions tell you to add it into your food. So it's a very interesting product. I'm going to go into it with soaps, but there are foods that we do add lye to, and you do need to be careful because there is an allergy to lye for some people. All right, so this is the place to go. EWG. EWG has the full list of everything that you should be buying, shouldn't be buying. They update it. You can send in your own ideas, like if you see something that you feel like isn't right, or you have a question for them, they're the people. Those 3 labels that you see on the bottom are also the labels that you should be looking for. Green Seal, Eco Logo, and Eco Logo actually has 2 because they're worldwide. So they do a lot. And yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So what I want you to know about is what we call greenwashing. So every industry has a way of like getting around, making things sound healthier, everything. Well, what this industry does is what we call greenwashing. You'll see things that'll say all natural. That's considered greenwashing. In the sense that when you look at the actual ingredients that are in there, it's not all natural. All natural is just put on there to make you feel like it was better. Or they'll add things like citrus oil. And you'll think that, oh, it looks like it could be something good for you to use, but it's not. The term for that is called greenwashing, and you should learn it because it's going to happen more and more with these products that are coming out. Because at the end of the day, guess what? It costs nothing to make these cheap products that are easy to make at home. So for them to sell it is hard because you want something that's effective, but at the same time healthy for you, and it becomes a weird game of pricing. All right. Let's talk about the power of vinegar. There are a few products that I'll talk about, and they're in your kitchen. I covered it up, sorry. So, you can clean your, the one that's missing there. You can run your coffee maker with vinegar through a run cycle. And repeat with water just to get out the vinegar flavor and everything like that. So those are all tips that you can use with vinegar. So, vinegar is really, really cheap. The only difference between vinegar and clean vinegar is a 1% acidity. If you really feel that 1% acidity matters, then go ahead and buy the home one. But the home cleaning vinegar actually costs not double, but significantly more. So just kind of think about it. I just use regular vinegar, and I've never had a problem with it. But they've learned that people are using vinegar now, so they have created a higher acidity vinegar for cleaning. And you can find it, and it's usually in a gallon jug and things like that. Vinegar also sets color. Yeah.
But it's smart to find them, you can find a jug that big.
Yep, it's the best thing, yeah. And the main thing that I find with people using vinegar, they don't like the smell. If you don't like the smell, I was just at Trader Joe's, they spilled tea tree oil all over the floor. Just add tea tree oil will like overpower almost anything. Same as lavender. So if you're afraid of the smell, do that. But vinegar really, the smell dissipates pretty quickly. That's why we never add citrus or like lemon things into cooked foods until the very end, because the heat actually makes it get lighter. So those are types of things that you can do. Soak scum. We have a lot of hard water in Irvine. Soak it overnight. It's not going to come off right away. Just be patient, and it actually does work. It'll dissolve the minerals that are on there. And our good old baking soda. So other than just leaving it in your refrigerator to get the smells out, you can clean your toilet. Think of it as kind of like an exfoliant or something that has a little abrasion to it that it can get things out of it. So you can use it to scrub things, but you don't need to be afraid of it scratching that much either. The only thing is, make sure that when you're mixing, that the pipes that you're using are metal, because it can deteriorate other pipes, like vinegar and things like that. So you want to make sure that if you're pouring it into pipes, like in your kitchen, that you have at least metal pipes, because it can be pretty abrasive after sitting in there for a little bit. Okay. So, yeah, unclogging drains. Yeah, call your plumber if this doesn't work. Because the strong stuff usually does. I don't know, we do use pretty strong drain cleaner in this building just because we get a lot of shower clogs, as you can imagine. And if you don't know, stop throwing your hair down your toilet. Put it in a trash can, especially if you own your own home. I'm learning these things because I own my own home, and I'm learning plumbing is really expensive, and it clogs really easily when you're in an old home. And so plumbing it can get expensive, and so make sure you take care of your pipes. All right, so other natural cleaners, borax. Borax is one of those things that some people don't consider a natural cleaner just because it is a kind of a chemical and it does have a reaction. I'm not telling you you can use it, it's just not as strong. It doesn't have as many of the chemicals inside of it. Castile soap, that's the one that everybody loves right now. You can buy it fragrance-free, nothing added on Amazon. Or you can buy it with tea tree and peppermint at Trader Joe's. And don't mix the alkaline with it, or not the good thing. Lemons, you can use it to polish copper. That's actually what they used to make us do when I was in culinary school. We got half a lemon and a whole thing of soap and salt, and we just sat there and scrubbed copper all day long. And essential oils like tea tree oil. It's a disinfectant. So if you're really worried about disinfecting things, tea tree oil is your best friend. Eucalyptus, peppermint are also other ones that you can look into. So these are the brands that are good. These are the EWG brands that are good. Bon Ami is probably the most common one that you can find. It's in the section where your Comet is. It's right next to Comet usually. It's $1.99. It doesn't cost any more, and you use it like you would Comet. So these are the other ones. This little, I didn't put it up. Attitude is also one if you have kids. If you have kids, Attitude has a really great line of items for kids. I didn't see Honest on there to tell you the truth. It might be on there, but Attitude is a good one for kids if you have kids and you're worried about that. And then the distilled vinegar versus cleaning vinegar I just told you about. So now I'm going to get into, this is when you might want to start taking pictures because this is when all the recipes are going to start coming up, and then I'll demo a couple of them. Yeah, I'll email this to you too. Yeah, and like I said, as soon as I leave this, I will go and email it to Diane, and hopefully she can get it out to you. So surface cleaner is easy. The great thing about the soap is that it'll still sun up, but not to the point where it's super sudsy. So if you want a lot of suds, just add more of the Castile soap inside. The vinegar surface cleaner, just make sure you don't use it on marble or granite. If you do, it does leave that kind of like film on it, and it just doesn't come off, and it almost eats away at it. So you have to be careful, especially if it's not sealed. And then your essential oils that you can add into it. All right, this one you cannot see for the life of you, but I'm gonna go into this. So we're gonna soak. Lush has made a business out of this. Lush has made a huge business out of soaps. And so I'm going to give you a little explanation about soaps and lye, because a lot of people have questions about that. You cannot make soap without lye. Lye comes in different forms and different names, and that is the way around it. So, this is homemade soap, so I have it right here. There we go. All right, so it is, you need to add a fat of some sort to the lye, and then it becomes soap. What happens is people will say, I'm allergic to lye and I use this soap and I'm allergic. Why am I getting an allergic reaction? It's the quality of the fat that they're using and the amount of the fat that they're using. When you add the fat and the lye together, the lye actually becomes soap. But if you don't add enough of the fat into the lye, it'll never get there and you'll actually get some of the lye on you. So a lot of people will say, well, Dove doesn't have it. Well, it does. From what I know, I think Dove uses sodium, the talloway one. But those are the different names that they'll use because they know people are afraid of the word lye. The problem is when you get a high quality soap, the lye disappears. There is no lye from a chemical reaction from it. So just know what products you're buying. If they're using a high quality fat like coconut oil or an olive oil, it will not have lye in it that you will react to. That's why Lush is so expensive. Lush uses very, very high quality fats in their products that makes it that way. And so what I'm trying to say is, the soap that you buy normally does have lye. As much as people will tell you that it doesn't, it's just that the lye isn't there anymore in the sense that the chemical reaction made it disappear. So there is lye in soap. There is one other product, but it does have the same effect as lye. And so if you're allergic to it, it's usually not that. It's usually other irritants in the soap that are bothering you and not the lye. All right, my favorite part. Okay, so serums and face masks. Hydrating face oil and an anti-aging face serum. These are ones that I use. So there's a lot of, yeah. So the first ingredient that you see on both of them are almond oil or squalane. Squalane a lot of people don't like because it is an animal product. It's a byproduct of sharks. It's been used in Italy forever. It is something that they use in Italy all the time. So look it up. You can buy it. It's expensive, but I like it as a carrier oil. Carrier oil meaning an oil that kind of dilutes it all because you can't just be putting rosehip seed oil on your face. It will not feel good. So this is kind of like a mix that you can add. Carrot seed essential oil is also really good. You'll learn what works with your skin and doesn't. But what I'm telling you is that online, a lot of these explanations of why you would use one or the other is really important. So frankincense is one that you'll find in almost all anti-aging ones. Frankincense and then patchouli or myrrh, both of those you'll see a lot of too. So only about 2% of essential oils are considered therapeutic. So that's where you need to do your work and research and find farms that do it. There's quite a few farms. I don't like giving them to you just because I don't know if I'm getting the information from somebody who's getting also another profit from it, so I need you to do it. I buy my serums when I go back to Taiwan because I know the people that I'm buying it from. But Amazon has a few, but do your research on them before you buy them. And this one was, these recipes are the savory lotus. All right, so this is a vitamin C serum. Vitamin C serum is one of those things that if you don't know, a lot of people have been using more for hydrating, and it's just an overall good protecting thing for your skin. So the thing that you're looking for is vitamin C powder. And again, Amazon will have it for you. Just make sure that it's pure vitamin C powder and not added with other things. A lot of vitamin E oil too. Some people will go as far as opening capsules because they find that that's the best way to get the vitamin E oil because vitamin E oil doesn't last very long. If you look at this serum, it only lasts for 3 to 5 days. You need to make it again after 3 to 5 days. And so that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's what making these things, the stuff that they're selling you, for all you know, it's been sitting on the shelf for 5 years. And I don't know if you know, but it's a 2-year expiration date. So from when you buy it, it's a 2-year expiration date for most facial products that you buy. And then the other one is another facial serum, and that one has geranium and bergamot. And so all really things that smell good, but also are really good at rehydrating your skin. All right, food masks. I do this a lot because who doesn't have a lot of extra oats, yogurt, and milk just lying around that you have absolutely nothing to do with, okay? These are things that you should be doing. All of these, the majority of them, you can use in your hair. I started writing food masks and hair masks, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna tell you. A lot of this can be used in your hair. One of the things that I do most is, I always tell people, we do a lot of like, say, cream fillings for bread. And if you know, cream fillings are usually just egg yolks and not egg whites. Egg whites are amazing for your face and your hair. Just don't use hot water, okay? So you can put the egg whites in your hair and it strengthens it up. Yeah, scrambled eggs in your hair is better than anything else. Oats are also really good. These are things that I find that we always have lying around in our house and we just don't know how to get rid of it. And like I always have oats around, and so oats are really good. They're not pretty masks though, I'm just gonna tell you. They're kind of chunky and they're all over the place. And also, if you do have sensitive skin, don't just start putting this stuff on your face. Be careful. It's actually a lot stronger than the stuff that you're buying out there. Like one of the things that I do is pineapple. Pineapple rind that people don't eat, which I eat, I rub on my face because it tightens it up. But you have to be very, very careful with that. It's very abrasive to your skin, and if you're not careful, you'll actually break out. Papaya too. Papaya is one of those things that people make a lot of masks with. You have to be careful though, because there's a lot of stuff in there that could irritate your skin. So always make a little, dab it on if you want, and then I don't wait 24 hours, I wait like an hour or so, and then I'll keep going. So if you want, you can do that too. Liquid hand soap. So super easy too, and you can buy the Castile soap, the distilled water, vitamin E oil, lavender, and tea tree oil. Moisturizing shampoo. So this uses vinegar. And so if it does have the vinegar, what I'm just going to tell you to do is you can add a little bit of essential oils inside of it too to make it smell better. But we wash our hair, we wash our bodies way too much as is. I would say I work with Dr. Kilgore, who runs Culinary Medicine, and it's just amazing like how much we actually are drying out our skin by taking showers all the time, by washing our hair all the time. We don't need to be doing all of this. The water that we have is incredibly hard here too, and so it's almost making our skin worse by taking more showers than not. So just think about it. There's some really good dry hair ones out there too, so if you want to make your own dry hair shampoo, it's really easy too. A lot of it contains like baking soda too. No baking powder, I promise. So dandruff shampoo, cloves. Apple cider vinegar and apples and cloves. Apple cider vinegar is really good if you have like light psoriasis, you can also use it. Any kind of like flaky skin issues, the apple cider vinegar, unfiltered preferably. Homemade cornmeal syrup. I threw this in just because I always have a lot of cornmeal lying around. Cornmeal has been used in Italy for a long time as an exfoliant. It's cornmeal, salt, sugar, all of those are considered exfoliants, and so they can be used as a rub. Rice can even be used as it, if you think about it. So a lot of these things that you have in your home, think of what looks like it, feels like it, and you can make it that way. All right, let's make a bath bomb. So I did a class a while ago where I did bath bombs and sugar scrubs, mainly because I thought it would be fun. It does take a lot of ingredients, one of them being citric acid, and then the other one is Epsom salt. So we're doing bath bombs first. Okay, so baking soda, coconut oil, coconut, you can buy pretty much any kind of coconut oil that you want. But then I'm going to put warm water in here with coconut oil. Hold on, I need to get it warm. All right. And then I'm doing half of it. So we got baking soda, cornstarch, and citric acid. Let me talk about the citric acid. You don't need citric acid if you can't find it. Hold on, You're like, what are you wasting water? I just had a draft pump yesterday too, and so I was like, I feel bad. So just a little bit. And I also do this because I have twin boys, and I'm always trying to find something fun for them to do. You measure this out when you do. And the problem with this recipe, or the one issue with it, it's about a 50-50 water and oil portion. The amount that you need to make it isn't that much. And so you'll get your spray bottle and you need to fill it enough so that you can spray. So if you can find a smaller spray bottle, it'll be easier because you won't need to use as much. So it's cornstarch in here, and then your baking soda. And I left my citric acid. So I have a whole bunch of citric acid at home, but I forgot to bring it. And so I had to figure out what to do. Cream of tartar. Tartar is the same. It's just so much more expensive. So cream of tartar, when you're baking, you can substitute with citric acid too. It's actually better if you don't like cream of tartar. Cream of tartar sometimes gives a bitter taste, and you can substitute with citric acid. It's just hard to find citric acid sometimes. All right, so I'm gonna mix that in, and I'm also gonna mix in my Epsom salts. And the Epsom salts really are in there just to make it just a little bit more fun. The citric acid or the cream of tartar is what makes it fizz. And so that's the fizzy part of it, and then you can add food coloring if you want. The food coloring, what ends up happening sometimes though, is it goes into the water. It's just liquid food coloring though, so there's nothing wrong with it, but sorry. Alright. So like I said, you just want, if you have kids at home, make them do this. You just want to start spraying. This is what's fun about it. And you want one that has like a big spray, not there. And this is what's fun for the kids actually, because you could potentially add quite a lot in here and just start going at it, but you don't want to add too much. So the goal is to just get enough in there so that you can bind it together. Mix it. Kind of like making pie crust, where you don't want to add too much water, and you might, okay, I will tell you something, if you have cornstarch that's old lying around the house, make sure you, use a sifter. Do it the way that I do it. If you've got a good sprayer, it probably works really well. Now, you're going to make it to the point where I can go in and I can grab it up with my hands and form it into a ball. So obviously that's not there yet, so I'm just going to keep adding. Like I said, you can use your, you can spray or add it this way, either way. And then you go online, and there's a couple different ways you can form these. So if you look, it's not firm, it's kind of like what it would look like before you were going to add your water into pie crust, okay? So it's just crumbly, just like that. There's extra liquid in there, and we're going to attempt to use that extra liquid to mold it. So I've got a couple ideas, or a couple things that you can use. You can use these, like silicone molds or whatever, and what ends up happening is they'll pop out just like that as soon as they dry. The best way to do this is to wait overnight, but if you are in a rush, you can put them in your oven at like 200 degrees, and it will slowly dry it out. So what you do is you can buy these bath bomb makers online, and then you just fill them. And then you just cap them out. You make full ones, but I'm just doing little ones like this right now. And then you can just go in, and then you and that's all that it is. It'll actually dry and it'll firm up. So what I do is I'll do a whole row of them. I'll make them into balls too. You can do a whole roll of them, let them dry, and then just package them. Put a little saran wrap on the outside of them if you want. Probably use a little bit more water. But I'll leave this here so you guys can feel it and see what it's all about. Okay, last one before you guys let me kick off is the cornmeal scrub. Super easy. So just cornmeal. What is this? Cornmeal, sea salt. So 2 different types of exfoliants, and then coconut oil. You don't need to melt this one down though. Mix this in like this, and then you can add. So this one is, he gave me peppermint. So it's peppermint oil. I'm just going to mix it up like this, and it's going to create kind of like a scrub. Keep this in your refrigerator for up to a month, and nothing will change. And you can use this in your shower then as an exfoliant. If you don't like to use salt, you can use sugar too. The hard sugar, turbinado, or the raw sugar is also really good too. I don't like sugar scrubs because I don't like it being sticky. I actually like the salt more than I do the sugar. So that's what it looks like, and it's really pretty. You can gift it. You can even find blue cornmeal if you really wanted to. All right, last one. The last one is the fun one. It's a scrub that you're actually going to use, soap, shea butter. So you can buy it online at Amazon. You can buy the shea butter. It comes in a block like this. And it comes in like little chunks, just like that. It says half a cup. Doesn't have to be accurate, but I've got a double boiler going on, so what that means is, I'm going to have a pot of water and I'm going to melt the shea butter. So it's going to go right on top of here. And then I'm going to melt this down. This is the one, I make this just for the holidays just because it smells so good. It's got cloves, nutmeg, and cinnamon in it, and then a brown sugar. So this is where you can decide on what kind of brown sugar you want. You can use the coarse ones, that'll give you more of an exfoliant, but they're not as pretty then. They don't mold as well. Or you can use this guy right here, which is just like your regular brown sugar. So we've got this going, and then we've also got, the cinnamon, allspice, and that's it. And the sugar, and then sweet almond oil. So the sweet almond oil, out of all the carrier oils, is probably the best bang for its buck in the sense of what it does. So I have a lot. I just have a lot of it lying around because I've done this class before, but it's this one that I bought. The pure almond oil. And you just want to make sure it is the pure one, but it does not need to be food grade. So there's different ones. And this one actually says that it's a carrier oil. So just look for things like that. So that's going to melt down like chocolate if you've ever made chocolate before. And what do you put first? That's the soap base. So the shea butter. This one. So this is the first part of it. So we added that in first. And it lasts quite a long time. It does have glycerin. So if you've ever noticed things that are slippery on you, it's glycerin. It's just pure glycerin. So there's people who don't like using glycerin, so you can buy a shea butter without glycerin in it as well. So there's different forms of it that you can get.
Why would you not want to?
I don't know. I feel like it's I don't know. It's the best, but yeah, it's weird. A lot of people, I've been noticing there are a lot of recipes that are glycerin free. Yeah, so it's really interesting, yeah. While I'm waiting for this to melt, I'll just tell you one thing, if you guys want to hang out. I did a class yesterday on drought and drought intolerance, and one of the things that I was supposed to make was prickly pear. If you're going out there to buy prickly pear these days, it's gone. So this is my theory. We in the U.S. have decided, we've discovered dragon fruit. And I think the dragon fruit has overcome the cactus pear. Because I went to 3 different North Gates yesterday, and not a single one of them had prickly pear. And I know prickly pear is in season because my prickly pear is coming out already. So it's getting there. they didn't have any. But you know what they had a lot of was dragon fruit. I don't remember any region in that area ever using dragon fruit before. So what my theory is that you will not find cactus pear anymore. If you have it, hold on to it with your dear life, because I think that a lot of the farmers have now gone to making just dragon fruit. Not that dragon fruit's bad for you, dragon fruit's good too. Just doesn't have as much flavor. This guy's gonna come down a little bit more. Does take a little bit. If you guys would like any more food, feel free to come on up if you want. I'm gonna wait for this guy to melt down a little bit more, sorry. Any other questions so far?
Can I recommend two essential oil brands?
Oh, yes, please. Yes, I was hoping we would share ideas in this a lot too, because I'm sure this is why I teach. I like the ideas that you guys give me. So what essential oil brands?
One of them is Plant Therapies.
Okay.
I love that brand. They even have certified essential oil people that will answer questions for you. And they're really responsive. The other one is local. It's Eden's Garden.
Which one?
Eden's Garden.
And that's local.
That's South County, yeah. Sam Many.
Come in and
Or Sunday. Yeah. One of those. Those brands are really good.
What was the first one you said?
Eden.
Or not Costco, sorry, Amazon or straight from Eden's Garden.
Eden's Garden.
So if you want, go for it, try it. But he swore if you had anything wrong with you, all you needed was ginger. Like just take a spoonful of ginger. You're not feeling well, take ginger. Ginger was the answer to everything. Oh no, I